Okay, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. This is Thursday night Power Hour, and tonight me and Mark from Mark's Slot Car Garage are going to talk about building an HO chassis, whether it be pancake or inline. Tonight we're going to go over all the ins and outs of it, the reasons why you do things the way you do, and so tonight should be pretty good. We're going to look at just about everything really sharp. So if you're into building an HO chassis, tonight's going to want to be your night. I would definitely get your hearing aid turned up, and or either that or maybe turn the stereo up, because it's going to be a gooder tonight. So all right, so let's see who's in the house tonight. I want to thank you. First off, I want to thank Mark. Mark, thank you very much for joining me tonight, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's have a look, see who's in the house. We'll go way back. Starts off with Rob Sale. Rob, I know you're not here right now, brother, but thank you very much for popping in briefly. Rick, thank you very much. Rich, Doug, thank you guys. I absolutely appreciate it. Goodies are on their way, Rich. Doug, what do we got? Oh, here we go. Adam Hertz in the house. Thank you for joining us, Adam. I absolutely appreciate it. Kim, thank you very much. Tom's in the house. Thank you, Tom. All right. So I guess while some people come in, I'll just tell a little bit what's been going on with myself. In the last couple days, I've been working heavily on getting the Carrera track set up. It's now in the form it will stay in. I finally got the added corners from Frankie Tomatoes. So Frankie Tomatoes, if you're out there and hear this, thank you very much. I absolutely appreciate it. The layout's finished now. Everything's in place. I just need to put everything else around it. So totally looking forward to finishing it off. But at least now I can race on it again. And it's going to be awesome. So yeah, it's going to be good. It'll be nice to finally get it finished and set up and racing the 1/32 scale cars. Hey Scott, thanks for joining us tonight, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, like I say, it'll just be nice to finally get it done, and I want it look good. I want it finished like Slot Valley Racing's all finished, and I don't have to tinker with it anymore. It just looks good, right? It just takes an hour every week to get the track running because of how much it is, and damn, cleaning that track, you guys know what I'm talking about. So yeah. So Mark, what have you been up to the last few days?
Oh, just resting my damn hand. I had surgery on my finger, so it's been limiting what I could do, unfortunately. In this hobby, we need all our digits to be able to work on, especially these little HO cars. So.
That's right. So
actually, hopefully my buddy Rick's not watching, because even with my injured finger, I took his chassis apart. So he's probably not going to be too happy knowing that I'm working on his car with a bum finger. But
oh no, it's the FU challenge, right? Show him what finger it is.
That's right.
Yeah. So awesome. All right. Oh, hi, Chop. How you doing? Okay, so I guess we got to start somewhere. We're going to talk about the two basic chassis today. We'll talk about inline and we'll talk about pancake. Pancake pretty much covers the workings of a pancake motor are pretty much the same, from AFX extraction to auto world extraction. They operate pretty much the same. The principles are the same. It's the tolerances and the quality and efficiency of how they work that is definitely different.
Rick is on. He said better than I could, even with my bum finger.
Nice. All right. So let me get this up on screen here. And I guess we'll start with the pancake. Okay. That is not a pancake. What do I got here? Make sure I got the. Okay. Now, I know it's kind of hard to see. Wish I could have blown it up a little bit more. Every time I try, it spits it back at me. Oh, okay. All right, well, that's a little better. Okay, so it's still pretty shitty. They don't pay me a lot here over at SVR, so I just throw things at you guys. So what we're looking at here is a AFX magna traction blueprint, and what is involved now. We'll look into what's involved in running this car. Okay. So in order to run this car, the very basic is required. And the very basics for this car would be the chassis. The chassis come in various stiffnesses. And it's definitely possible to make different configurations just from the chassis alone. So so starting with the chassis, you're going to be looking at the firmness of the chassis. So you're at the chassis. So now that you're at the chassis, now your next consideration is going to be with the chassis. What kind of electrical system do you want to run with it? And this would be a good question for Mark. Mark, explain a little bit about an armature, why you would use the one. Use a Viper, for example, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean it's all depending on what you want to do with your car. The lower the you could have. I don't modify pancakes as much as I do inline motor cars, but you can do it. There are a lot of guys that do. That's just not my area. Although I did dabble in it with your 4-gear challenge. So I pulled the gear off and put in a lower ohm armature to get some more power. But you could do things like that. They do make balanced armatures even on the pancake motor front. I've never used one, but they definitely are out there.
Right.
But you gotta watch. There's a lot of trial and error when you start doing this kind of stuff, and you got to mix the right magnets, the right motor magnets with the armature, things like that to think about. So,
and that's like when you're considering speed, how far do you want to go to change a chassis before you need to start thinking about something else? Right. So, and like, just for example, of course, the DR1 is the replacement for the slow 4-gear. But what we also found was that a 4-gear can be lit up. It just, you need to replace a few things. And like we were saying, when you put all of those things in that chassis, well, that lights the chassis up like crazy. And it goes like absolute fire. It is crazy how fast those cars went. Both yours and Chris's were like unbelievable. And that was only could have been done because of the changing of the armature. Do you think that could have been done any other way, Mark?
No, they're not to get that much of a power or speed increase. Lowering the ohm of the armature is what's going to do that for you.
Right.
There are things you could do to make your car run smoother and a little faster, but a 6-ohm motor car is never going to run as fast as a 2-ohm motor car.
That's right.
That's just Ohm's law and how much current it can draw.
So that leads us to the second item. The second, of course, the first one is the chassis. The second item is the armature. What armature do you want to run inside the chassis that you're building? How fast do you want the car to go? How much money do you want to put into it? I mean, they built a rocket ship that goes to the moon. So If they want to make something go fast, man, they'll just put a rocket engine on the back of it, right? But where is the line, right? That's sort of what we're thinking when we're building our HO cars, right? I mean, wow, it would be nice if we all had the best equipment and just no worries about money or whatever. But like every day was Christmas, and nobody actually had everybody only received presents, never had to give them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, it's not for everybody tearing the chassis apart and replacing armatures. You don't have to do any of that. It's really what you want to do. I mean, these manufacturers design and build the cars to run a certain way, and they're usually, perfectly adequate, just the way you get them. Though all these cars do require maintenance, so it's not at some point you're going to want to service your cars, unless you're my buddy Rick, who never services any of his cars. I don't even think he oils them.
One of those people that's like the mechanics, like you say you changed oil how many times? None? What?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's why I have two of his cars here, because I'm doing a little maintenance on them for him, and one of them I'm doing some upgrades on for a race we have coming up, a club race. So I'm going to be doing a couple of minor upgrades.
Nice. All right. So, point number 2 was the armature, the size of the armature. Now here I have an extraction. What's the arm in a extraction? Is it 14?
Yeah, I think it's like 15 or something like that.
So it's yeah, okay. So, and what you replaced it was 5.5?
Yeah, 5.5 Typhoon arm from OS3.
And then of course the upgraded magnets were.
I used Pro 7 magnets. I think they're a good combination of, they give the motor a good boost and they give a good amount of extra downforce, but not too strong,
Right. And did you have the availability of Pro 4s to try?
Um, there are no Pro 4 magnets for pancake.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's 7 and 10?
7 and 10, and then I think there's like the black diamond ones. I forget what they're called, but
Okay.
yeah.
So then, if somebody's wanting to build their own chassis, what would be the best equipment they could buy? Are we looking to buy silver? Of course, we're looking to buy silver if it's not plated. Ideally, you want a full silver piece. It's hard to find these days, but there are businesses that make them. Silver shoes, silver springs. But the problem, of course, with the silver is it carbonizes really fast, a little bit faster than copper. But they both produce the same. I don't know. I guess I could never say that I've actually seen a difference.
Yeah,
They're both
I mean,
fast.
silver is a better conductor. Silver is actually the best conductor, then then copper, then gold. So gold is actually, gold corrodes the least. So you'll have your least amount of corrosion. But
Oh yeah.
I don't think we worry too much about corrosion, and we're not leaving our slot cars out in the rain. So
Yeah, no kidding, eh?
and the difference between copper and silver, is it really worth it? It's probably so minimal that I don't know. I mean, in my race cars, yeah, I put silver when we're allowed. There are certain classes I can't use plated parts, but
Right.
I do run silver plated parts on a number of my cars. But yeah, I think the copper is that's going to be fine for just about everybody, really.
Yeah, that's probably where everybody should really be at. Um, of course, it's once again, it's building a rocket ship. How much do you want to spend on it, on these parts? And of course, for every part, there's another company that'll sell that part cheaper until you get to, there's always a point. There's always a point to everything that's cheap. And that end point is a terrible product. So, Don, I want to thank you for becoming a member. I know I haven't mentioned it until now, but I want to say thank you very much. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Um, so, um, so when we're talking like the electrical system, springs, commutator, how did you find those, um, Mark? When you looked at your 4 gear, how did the commentators look? The springs, that whole setup.
I just went with some decent aftermarket pickup shoes and springs, the brushes, the brush springs. Yeah, I just put new ones in. I think I got them from Hardin Creek, and yeah, they're not expensive, those parts. Yeah.
Yeah, you can certainly hop up a car for $4, right? $5. I don't know what it would cost to get something delivered in the States. It's pretty cheap, I would imagine, but it sounds like you could probably, for under $10, you can turn a $30 chassis into a $40 race car, something that's competitive. And you've shown that that's easily done, right? So now,
Oh yeah, and there are tweaks you can do that really don't cost anything. You could shim the magnets so they don't move in the chassis, things like that. There are lots of little tricks you can do to.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Yeah. So right now, where does wheels, like when you talk about building your cars, Mark? What's the first when you're thinking wheels? What comes to mind? Now I know you're very particular about car height, like extremely particular, and of course because you have that option, being on the nice smooth routed table. Um, so what is it that you're looking for in wheels when you're thinking for your chassis?
Well, again, that's so subjective to what you're trying to do. Um, I play around with wheel, but I race. I race competitively, so my needs are a lot different than somebody that's driving on an AFX track just for casual. The stock wheels are probably fine for that.
Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, I have the luxury on my routed track. I don't have all the track joints. I don't have all the evenness, so I could really bring the car a lot lower. So I do. I bring it as low as I can. I get the most performance and handling that I can.
And can you explain to us why it is you want to get the car so low to the rail?
Well, the lower you get the car to the rail, the stronger the magnet downforce and the better handling that you have.
Awesome. Yeah.
But again, you gotta judge. You gotta find that right sweet spot. You can go too low and have a counter effect where it has a negative impact on the car because
Right.
it's dragging the rails
It's
too hard.
dragging, yes.
Slows the car down. So
Right. And now what about the firmness of the tire?
that's you're talking about everything that I I deal with from a racing perspective, is finding that perfect balance that works best for you, and all tracks are different. So that's why when you're racing at clubs where the tracks are different, you got to show up with, I have several different axles built up with different compound tires, different size hubs, and
Yeah.
before the actual race, you get to warm up and try your car and tweak your car. So I'm popping axles in, not pancake motor cars. I'm talking inline, Vipers and Fusions. But yeah, that I'm playing around with the tire height and the compound quite a bit.
Right. So now, for of course, with that's the pancake style. All those parts can be found readily available on the internet through many different people. Um, there's quality out there and there's non-quality. Nobody's paying me squat. You'll come across them, and if you're not sure, then send me an email. Me or Mark will certainly help you figure it out, or someone in the comment section. Let's move on to the inline, which is more of what you're familiar with lately, Mark.
Yeah, somebody asked about pickup shoes, and we kind of didn't really touch on pickup shoes, but yeah, that's a key part. Obviously,
Yeah.
you want the best contact to the rails, and like the picture you're showing here, I would certainly be replacing those pickup shoes.
Oh, big time, big time.
But,
Yeah, I wanted the reason why I didn't do the shoes in the pancake is because I wanted you to explain the difference between how Viper does it and how for this, for example, how the shoe is wrapping over the front, and on a Viper it's different, correct? It doesn't wrap over the front of the chassis, does it?
no, it's more um, flat. You know, a Viper pickup shoe is pretty much, you know, there really isn't too much tweaking you have to do to these pickup shoes. They pretty much make perfect contact to the rails with
Right.
minimal tweaking, and they make different profile. The pivot point where the shoe clips into the hanger is deeper. They have a low profile one. If you're running lower front tires, you can go with a low profile pickup shoe.
So it's definitely a major improvement on the classic style where it hooks over the front. By the looks of it, I mean, I remember the first time I've seen the way Viper does it. Uh, I was actually very impressed that it isn't something that's being done a little bit more. You know,
Yeah, I mean, it still clips over. You know, it's still the same clips over the post, but you know, Viper has the protective
yeah.
bumper guard so that it can absorb crashes, and you'll have less of your pickup shoes flying off with these bumper guards.
And I wonder what it would take for Auto World to put that on their cars. I wonder if is that a
But
copyright thing?
you don't need it. I mean, none of my AFX Magnet those cars don't go as fast as a Viper. That's
Oh, that's
overkill.
true, right?
That's overkill. You're adding something you really don't need. I mean, if you're managing to make a pickup shoes come off on a Auto World extraction, then
Yeah,
you got your car running pretty fast as it is.
with an easy improvement, though, maybe some people wouldn't be leaving the hobby just as soon as they enter it, because those springs and shoes, man, I'm telling you, I bet you they shut down tons of people who are like, no, I can't. Where do I get these parts? How do I run this? How come it's not moving anymore? You know, and I'm just thinking for
Well,
what
that's an old topic that we've gone over so many times. Is
yeah,
why
absolutely.
the Auto World won't run correctly out of the package? I mean, I have to tweak almost every one of them to get the pickup shoes to just be making enough contact for it to even run. So
You do. You do. So
but then again, that's a $15-20 car. That's what you get for $15-20. Yeah.
well, that's true, right? So you're pretty much getting what you paid for. And here we are, we're building our rocket ship on this end. And so for the armature, an inline armature, um, what is it? What is your, when you're thinking about building uh, a chassis, you're going to put an armature in it. So um, we'll say you got, I guess we got to pick a number, so let's just pick a 3 ohm armature because it's something I'm thinking you obviously are used to these days. What is your consideration for that armature? What are you thinking in your mind, Mark? Like the average person probably doesn't think what you're about to say right now because this is well thought on your end. So
Right. Well, and again, it's all how fast you want to go. I mean, a 3 ohm armature that's a pretty low ohm armature, so you're going to start having more power requirements out of your supply and your track. You're going to need to provide more current to a 3 ohm. Once you get below the 6 ohm armature, you're getting down into you're getting more into the performance aspect when you get into a 3 ohm or lower armature. And that changes things. You got to think about different magnets, stronger magnets, to handle that power coming from that armature. The stiffness of the chassis, when you start getting into a lower ohm and higher downforce magnet car. I don't know. My sweet spot, actually, I prefer my 6 ohm hot stock armature cars running Pro 4 packages. And most of the classes that I race are running that type of motor, and those cars are plenty fast.
right, yeah, no kidding, eh? Wow, but pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want to take a Tyco or even any inline car that has a stock 6 ohm armature and just slap a 3 ohm armature in it without taking into consideration the magnets and all of that. You like Scott just brought up, you do need to you do need to pair the motor with proper motor magnets, the armature, the ohms of the armature. I mean, there's no set rules. There's nothing saying you can't keep those magnets. You're just not going to give the motor's not going to really get the power it needs if the motor magnets are too low. So
right, yeah, there is that correct pairing. It's not, of course, it's not like 100%, but definitely you usually, when you go with the low ohm arm, you're definitely going to want to go with a much higher magnet.
Usually, like, this is the chassis that I got from you, actually, the Viper Polymod. This is a 2.5 ohm armature. They almost always pair those with Pro 10 motor magnets, so those will give that armature all the power it needs. And then you can play around with the traction magnets. This is a Pro 10 package car, so the traction magnets are level 10 as well, but you can go lower. Some people like to put Pro 4s in and have less downforce on the traction magnets, or you can go even higher. I have some cars with level 25 cobalt magnets or even level 35 neo magnets. And yeah,
Somebody was asking me how to buy a level 25 Viper scale racing, I would assume.
Well, you could reach out to Viper and see if they'll cut. They don't sell a car off their website that has level 25 magnets in it, but maybe they would build a custom car for you. I don't know. I reached out to Dan once and asked, Dan from Viper, and asked if he would ship me some cars with an independent front end, because I always put independent front ends on most of my Vipers. And rather than pay the money for the standard, like, one of the things I'm going to do to this car I got from you is I'm going to replace this non-independent front end with an independent front end. But Viper still charges $5 for this front end. So I was like, hey, can you, not charge me the $5 for this and just charge me for the cost of the independent front end? And of course he said no. So you had to buy the car and then also buy the independent, spend the extra $70 for the independent front end. And
I was able to run the Polymod on one AFX power pack, but that was all that was plugged into it. Just that.
Yeah, it may run, Dan, but you weren't running it the best it could run. You weren't giving it, that power pack is only 1 amp on that AFX pack, and this Polymod needs almost 2 amps. So it'll run at 1 amp, but nowhere near as as fast as it could.
Definitely will not light up. That's for sure. So Adam Hurt should be good then.
Yeah, Adam will be fine if he ever finishes his wiring and gets his track. But yeah, that's the armature, the ohms of the armature, it all depends on what you're doing, what track you're running. On my AFX track, when I had the click track, running a 3 ohm or 2 ohm Viper on it wasn't really great. It would make the track come apart. I didn't have my track secured down, and it was constantly separating the track section. So you don't really need that on an AFX track. That track is not really designed for that type of car. So why do it? I mean, a 6 ohm Viper, a Viper V-Spec, their stock car is plenty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the question, and everybody in the comment section can also leave a comment. Are you speed or are you traction? So are you grabbing the track or are you racing across it? Which one would you prefer? Would you rather have the ability to turn the corners fast but not super fast, or the ability to go super fast but take the corner like a dumpster?
Well, I would prefer to be able to do both. So I build my cars so I have both the straightaway speed, the top end speed, but also the cornering and handling. But then that comes into play the controller that you're using and your driving style. So
right.
Yep,
And
exactly.
especially with the new controllers, right? Yeah, just change the resistors out, do whatever you got to do. It's nice though that you can set that kind of stuff. Makes things a little more interesting and a little easier. Dial it in, right? Dial it in. So racing style for looks like most people want to balance, which is very good because it's really hard to always pick your car up off the floor when you're constantly flying off the track. Yeah.
Well, you know the old saying, if you're not crashing, you're not racing. So
That's right, eh? Running, racing.
yeah.
So, what do you have going on for yourself in the next little while, Mark?
A lot of the same. I did get a new controller for Christmas. Santa brought me this. Hold on. I'll probably do a video on this at some point, but
Oh, this is the one, eh?
that's the OS3 wiperless. So you see there's no circuit board with a wiper going across the bands. So everything's controlled in this little, whatever the heck this blue little gizmo is here is doing what the wiper would do.
It's got a blue knob.
But this is a really nice controller. It has sensitivity, choke, brake, and coast. I really like the coast feature, and it has the slider switches, so you could set it to either coast or brake.
Here, Mark, you want to show the front and back of that controller? Let me blow it up for everybody here. Wow, that's amazing, bro. That looks awesome.
Yeah, so if you flip the top switch to B, it enables the brake of this rheostat. If you switch it to coast, this controls coast, and if you put it in the middle, it doesn't do either. Oh. The bottom slider changes the sensitivity, but the coast feature is cool. The coast lets you actually basically apply power to the car without even touching the trigger. So if I turn the coast up enough, the car will start moving without me even touching the trigger.
Oh, that's amazing.
And what's cool about that is rather than trying to do braking into the turn, I like doing the coast into the turn. So if I'm coming up on a tight turn, I can come off the throttle, but my car coasts. My car doesn't stop. So I can coast in and out of those turns.
You're just not going in so heavy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still learning and getting the hang of it, but I mean, this isn't a cheap controller. I'm not saying everybody has to run out and get the OS3 Elite, but if you do any kind of club racing, it's great to have all those options.
Well, that's pretty good, man. It looks awesome. They've done a really good job with those ones, hey? And
Yeah,
how are you?
I like it. It's nice. It feels comfortable in my hand. The
And how do you like
DeFalco
the
is a
trigger?
little longer. I would have preferred a little bit bigger handle because I have pretty big hands. So
Yeah, yeah.
you can see it's kind of
And how do you find the trigger action, Mark, between the two?
I like this is a very smooth trigger and easy to push, which I kind of like because I'm a kind of feather touch kind of guy when I'm racing. I come off and on quite a bit, so I don't like a very stiff trigger.
Right.
So this has worked for me. I've transitioned from my DeFalco to this pretty quickly. So
And because I know some people, they actually get used to that feel of, the trigger when it goes over the strike board. Some people like that feel as it's bumping across the empty segments.
yeah, I mean, I had the 30 band Neo on my DeFalco, and that's such a small. My DeFalcos, I didn't have much of a feel with it. It was pretty smooth.
Who sells
But
that
yeah,
controller?
I guess it depends what you like. They do make a version of this for $50 cheaper that has all those same features. It's just not wiperless. It has the
Just a regular wiper.
regular wiper.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I totally don't
And
get
that
it.
controller is made by OS3.
OS3, right? So you can get it
Somebody
at
else
their
who
store.
sells it, Jersey Mike. Yeah. Other than that, more of just racing. Guys coming over usually most Sundays, and we do some racing, driving cars, and working on my cars, getting ready for. I have a race coming up January 20th, club race, a Florida sponsored race.
Nice. And
So
we'll all be watching.
I'm gonna do a couple of more builds and get into more detail. I know we're not going to go over exactly how to build a car in this chat, but there's a lot of things to do to properly space the armature, space it in the top so that it's spaced properly, so the comms are
Yeah.
centered on the brushes, and all those little things that you do to really take out any back and forth play in the motor and the armature, but you don't want to go too much where it binds or it's too tight. So there's all that trial and error. This is a hobby that if you like to tinker, then this is a great hobby for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Some
That's
guys
why I'm
don't.
gonna have
Some
a
guys
look.
don't like it.
I'm gonna have a look and see how many people are interested in it, and if enough people are interested, Mark, maybe we'll talk our like actual armatures themselves, and how you're because I know what you're talking about. Most people would like to know, just don't know, and when you don't know what you're missing out on, it sucks because that's the whole point of this show is to get everyone so we all know the same shit, brothers.
Yeah, it really depends what you want to know, though.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to. They
Right.
don't need to go that level, and they don't want to go that level, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, it
Some
took me a while to get to where I'm at, and it didn't happen overnight. A lot of research on my part, and just kind of diving in and doing it. And but yeah,
right.
I really love it. I definitely steered more towards the performance aspect and racing aspect of the hobby. So
Yeah, it just seems like that, especially with the 4 gears. When you talk about the new funny cars, they went and put the exhaust right where you pull the car apart to get the chassis off the shell, and I've broken two off now. Such a terrible place to put it, but I guess they're looking for realism. I get it. So, yeah. Dun, 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 dun. I will be back. My first Monday will be Monday the 8th for Monday Night Slot Car Live, where I'll have some pretty good guests as usual, and we'll talk slot cars. Um, Anybody have any questions for the master Viper builder?
I don't know that I would say master, but
More master than I am.
always somebody that knows more. I actually was watching some of Roger Purcell's YouTube videos, and I picked up a few things that I didn't really know that I'm now applying to my builds. So there's always somebody out there that.
Yeah, but he's from the future. He learned that from you, bro.
Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just there's little things you could do, like the hangers. You could on the Vipers, you could put a slight forward bend in the hanger where the pickup shoe latches in, and that forward bend helps keep
Hold
the
in
pickup
place.
shoe in even more. So on heavy crashes, you'll have less of a tendency for the pickup shoe to pop out. In fact, Terry Flynn at Hardin Creek just released a new line of hangers for the Viper for his car, the Super 7, that has that bend actually built into it.
Right.
So you can buy that, pro hanger, I think he calls it. So there's lots of little tweaks and things you can do. But yeah, getting your motor spaced properly and all that good stuff is very important when you're building an all-out race car. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's a good idea.
But there's a big difference. There's a big difference from running AFX Mega G Plus cars, which there's nothing wrong with. I have tons of them and I run them myself, and they're fun to run. But they're not a performance Viper or Wizard Fusion. They're two different categories of racing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea, Rick. I guess I really never thought about it. It's one of those aha moments. Of course that'll work, right?
Oh yeah, I always have to pop this body off. If I try to, I can get it off, but I could risk actually breaking. It's kind of tight. I actually did break one of my GT40s. I was so pissed. I actually cracked the side. I had to super glue it. And those of you who know these bodies, this is not a cheap body by any means.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. So, all right. So it does look like I have an idea for another in-depth show about the building. Maybe we'll just do a little build series. We'll start with the whole building of the chassis itself. The next show I want to talk about the armature, why you would choose an armature, and of course the equipment you would use to change the armature, and the equipment used in changing out the armature in some cases. For instance, Mark.
Wait, let me show Scott, because Scott said, "Oh no, it was actually this car that I broke, and this is an expensive body as well."
Boy,
he'll know how much this car costs.
Oh no.
Yeah, you can kind of. I don't know if you could see my glue job right there, but it broke on that side. Yeah, I was not happy.
So I'm sitting here thinking, how can I make a bell notification video that viewers will actually want to watch?
You're gonna want that cowbell.
Did he just say cowbell?
I gotta have more cowbell.
It's not a cowbell.
I could have used a little more cowbell.
All right then, hit the cowbell notification button so you don't miss any of my up and coming content. Woo!
That cowbell gets me every time.
Gotta have some, brother. All right. So, yeah, that'll about cover it for today. Unless, of course, Mark, you have anything you would like to follow up with?
No, other than, a lot of the stuff that we spoke about tonight, I've done build videos on my channel, or even live builds and stuff like that. So if you want to see a little more detail, you can check out those videos on my channel. And if anybody has any questions, you could email me at markslotcargarage@gmail.com.
There it is. Subscribe to Mark's channel or you are very, very bad. I have one for you too, Mark. And we do have a question. No, I have no answer for this one. I'm sorry.
What's the question?
No, I don't know how much steel is in the Eiffel Tower. Very crafty, though.
Somebody really asked that?
No.
Oh.
That's what I would ask smart ass every time someone says, "Hey,
A lot. Yeah, Rich, a daily driver for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. Oh, here we go. Don is one of them. Don, which car did you win?
He might have. Did he win mine? I can't remember. Oh, he won yours?
You won mine? Okay. Yeah, no problem. That's my email. So just hit me up and I'll get your address. No problems. We were just literally talking about it yesterday. Wondering where everybody was. Huh? No problems. No problems at
Yeah,
all.
and I'm thinking once for my 1,000 subscriber giveaway, not that I'm there yet, I have over 100 to go, but
100 to
I,
go.
I was thinking, well, I have like 130. I think I am at 871 right now or something like that.
So there.
I might do a custom build, a custom Viper build. I'll let whoever wins, I'll let them pick what kind of car they want. You know, whether they want a 2 ohm, a 3 ohm, a 6 ohm, Pro 4, Pro 10. You know, I'll let them choose how crazy they want to go.
Oh, you could totally blow that up. Oh, that's a subscriber night for sure.
Yeah. So we'll do that, and maybe I'll do a live feed of the actual build. Although you know how Scott can attest to how stressful doing a live feed is when you're actually trying to build a chassis. Everything goes wrong that can go wrong.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? Hey, Rich, that's not a 1 ohm hot stock. That's a teetering stock.
Yeah, it's not hot stock. It's just 1 ohm. You don't even have to say hot stock when you when you get down to 1 ohm.
It's so hot you turn the lights off to
I
run it.
wouldn't use a 1 ohm armature for a road course. Mostly you use a 1 ohm arm in a dragster,
Oh boy.
because that will get hot. If you're running a 1 ohm car consistently, yeah, that's going to pull some current.
That would be totally you bet it would.
I've never gone below 2 ohms on any of my cars, and I don't really have a need. I mean, I just broke the 2-second barrier on my track recently. I showed you guys on Discord that I did 56 feet in under 2 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
So that's pretty crazy.
We're going to slow mode again. We're going to slow mode again. We can't see it. We can't see it. It was fast.
Yeah, I can't really run my really fast high downforce cars because they kind of pull up my rails. I don't have my rails glued in, so I have to get my rolling tool back out and push down any high spots because of those damn cars.
That's crazy, hey?
Yeah.
So that pretty much throws the car right out of the slot, I guess, when the rail's too high, eh?
Yeah, I mean, they don't get that high that happens, but you can hear it. You know, I can run certain cars. I have certain cars that I can run that tell me if my rails are high, because I can just hear how the car sounds when it hits a high section of rail. My magnet traction cars are good for that because they're slower, and they make a certain noise when they hit a high section.
Oh yeah, I guess. You get used to it after a while, though, right? The sound of your own track. You know.
Yeah, and I have a few spots that I know tend to. I probably should just glue those sections down. I mean, Viper actually recommends gluing the whole track, like gluing the rails the whole length of the track, or at least every foot or so, gluing the rails down. But
Just so they don't slip
I
up.
haven't. Running Pro 4 type cars and anything below that, I don't really have it, and which is mostly what I run. Every now and then, I mean, I could run Pro 10 cars, like the cars I got from you, or my 3 ohm Vipers that are Pro 10, and they don't cause any issues with my rails. So
Right.
it's only when I get up into the Neo magnet cars that I can start having some issues with the rails on. And some of my guys bring over like level 50, 52 Neo Vipers. Those things I'm like, nuh-uh, you're not running that on.
2 passes and it'll pull them right out, eh? Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's just it for sure. For sure. Yeah, it's that thing will be going around the rails so fast, man. You'll be starting a fire, a bushfire. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. All the way around. It's like when National Lampoons, when he goes for the slide on the saucer and just takes.
Well, Scott, I could hear the rails scraping all the time because I'm always running the rails on. My cars are all low, so they're all scraping the rails. That's just how I have them set up. So that doesn't help me any.
But that same setup does not transfer across to the plastic track, correct?
No, not at all. You would not want to run a really low, high downforce car on a AFX track.
Right.
But
awesome. All right. Well, looks like we're coming to the end of our Thursday night power hour. I want to thank you guys. Absolutely fantastic. It's kind of nice to get together and talk slot cars every once in a while, and add a little information while we're at it. Couldn't hurt. Hey, if you want to hang out with your buddies in the slot car channel, might as well learn a little too while you're along. Whoa!
along the way.
There you go. You see, I gotta go to my fridge and eat some gummies. I think that's what the problem is. So, but anyways, I want to say thanks to everybody in the comment section. I want to start with Don. Don, thank you very much for your membership, brother. I absolutely appreciate it. You got my email now. Make sure so we can send you the car. Me and Mark were just joking about it yesterday or the day before about nobody claimed their cars. Well, actually, almost everybody claimed their cars now, so that's good. So thank you very much, Don, for participating in the contest. Fantastic. William, thank you. I appreciate it. Doug, thank you. Oh, Mark Buck, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Sorry I didn't see you. I seen you in the comments, but it just caught up with me. Thanks, brother. It's been a while. Rich, thanks. I appreciate it, man. Rich's Slot Car Room. If you guys haven't seen his videos, make sure you go check them out. Absolutely fantastic. I can't imagine anybody's got a bigger Tyco collection. Absolutely kick ass. Thank you. Roski Dance, thanks for joining us once again. I appreciate it. Tom, thanks, brother. I appreciate it, man. You're a busy guy. You got a lot going on. I thank you for being here. Jersey Mike, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. There you go. Another Tyco Friday tomorrow, guys. Make sure you go check out Rich's Slot Car Room.
For sure.
And I really hope I didn't forget anybody or I'd feel bad. Nope, I think we got everybody. Last call, anybody? Anybody hiding that wants to say hi? There's always a mystery person in the background.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it, brother. We'll talk slot car real soon.
Yep.
Thanks, William.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Talk to you, brother. We'll see you later.
Bye.